Yo, welcome to the Breaking Into Tech Sales podcast. I'm Jack Knight, and if you're new here, this podcast exists to help you break into tech sales. I run interviews with people who are already in tech sales, maybe for a long time, maybe they just broke in, and we talk about how they actually got in, interview tips, tactics, strategies, how to actually get offers from good companies. You're also going to see interviews of my clients, people I've worked with one on one to help transition from all kinds of backgrounds into great, high paying, fully remote tech sales roles. So if you're someone who's trying to break into tech sales, tune into this conversation, enjoy. And I've got a bunch of resources for you down in the comments. I've got a step by step free guide that'll show you how to go land a job in tech sales in the next month or so. And if you're someone who really wants to get in with a good company and you want to do it quickly, I'm a one on one coach. I will work directly with you to help you make this transition in the next month. Right now, my clients are averaging 90K roles and they're doing it in 34 days. So if I can help you, there's a link below to book some time with my team to see if it's going to be a mutual fit. All that being said, plenty of resources here to help you out on your job search. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Jeremy. Jeremy has been in the industry for 8 years and he's been crushing it, but he went through layoffs, he went through some bad manager relationships. He's been through a lot. And he gives you a very sober look at what being in tech sales for that long actually looks like, the pros and the cons. And we break down why relationships matter so much and how you, being new to the industry, can start building these relationships within the industry to help you on your job search. Enjoy the conversation. Jeremy Mills, welcome to the
Oh,
podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jack. Pleasure being here.
100%, man. So I did a little bit of my LinkedIn stalking SDR research. You've been at your current gig for over 2 years now. Tell us about your current title and how long you've been in tech sales entirely.
Yeah, so my current title right now, I guess, is technically just an SDR. I mean, if you want to get literal with it, I'm a founding SDR. I was one of the first sales hires here at Jiga. So
Ooh, hold on. Wait. That's a big difference, man. Just an SDR versus founding SDR. Give
huh,
yourself some respect.
titles are titles, right? It really depends on the quality of the work that you're doing. So at Jiga,
Facts. Yeah.
essentially what we're doing is we're selling custom manufacturing. So it's not your typical SaaS sales. It's not your typical um, just cold calling people and just setting meetings. Like there is some actual technical knowledge and stuff that you need there. So we're primarily reaching out to like engineers, supply chain, um, titles like that. Usually the mechanical engineers
Mm.
themselves, not necessarily like the directors or VPs that a lot of people do. However, once we start building the relationships,
Yeah.
we start leveraging those as well to kind of expand within the companies, which is actually kind of fun. So you kind of get the whole gambit.
Nice. Okay, so was this your entry and introduction to tech sales at large, or it looks like you were at Memory Blue, Fictive a little bit. So you've been in tech sales for how long now?
Yeah, it's been since funny enough, I had to look on LinkedIn to see when I first created my account to figure that out. 8 years. So September
Yeah.
2017. And I think we'll get into that a little bit later about that story because it's actually a fun story of how the entire career
Yeah,
progression kind of went. So I'm not gonna.
I love it. Yeah, we're gonna break that down. But 8 years. Okay, so one question I always get from people who are curious about tech sales, I literally get like a DM every day. What am I gonna be selling? And my response confuses people because I'm like, I don't know. Like it's not like tech sales is you're selling one thing. It just depends on the company you end up at. So for you, I imagine you didn't grow up as a little boy like, I want to sell custom manufacturing solutions. How big of a how much weight would you put into the company that you actually go work for in terms of what they sell versus like culture and leadership and development opportunities? Did that throw you off at all? Like, what is custom manufacturing?
No, this will be the second company I've done custom manufacturing with. So if I had to answer that, I would definitely put a lot more emphasis on the leadership. Who's your direct boss? Not necessarily what you're going to be doing, because an SDR role has the same basics, functions of it depending
Mhm.
on where you go. I mean, it's going to be the same. However, I would if if you're somebody that likes to converse with people and you really, really like to interact with people and you're very passionate about some specific industry, I'd say go for that. Because if like the last thing you ever want to talk about is cybersecurity, why would you put yourself through that? So I think being very intentional on the companies you pick, the bosses you pick, it, it you might not be able
Mhm.
to figure all that out before you get in there, but like your boss has a really big influence on your career and how much learning you're going to get. So that's
Mhm.
probably one of the more um, important aspects when I'm looking for a role is okay, who's the boss? What do they do? How long they've done it? Have they done
Yeah.
the role? Because that's important too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in full agreement. I like your recommendation to filter out stuff you know you definitely don't want to do, right? Like if you don't want to sell to your point cybersecurity, okay, don't apply to those companies. But my counterbalance would be don't over filter on companies that maybe you know
mhm,
nothing about, right? Because some of my clients have landed jobs at like the randomest companies and they're well on their way to clearing six figures in these companies with great culture, great leadership, great development. And I've never would have heard of the company, and sometimes there's a lot of money in kind of the boring industries because things haven't changed in a while. And boom, along comes Jeremy with his amazing talk track and his charisma and a great solution. And boom, things change. Big deal
yeah.
sizes are there.
No, and it's absolutely true. So like I would have never imagined that I was going to get into manufacturing. Like I was like, oh, tech sales. Let's go sell stuff. And you're absolutely right. Like there is a lot of boring industries out there. Like manufacturing is not boring. Everything you touch, like what we're talking through right now, was made by engineers, the computers. So like everything you
Mm.
do has manufacturing involved in it, and it's fun because every project's different. So there's my ADD loves
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's always a different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. The first company I worked at, we were selling software to the government, the military, where they were putting like our sensors on the back of Humvees in the middle of war zones. For me, growing up in a military family, I was like, wow, that is sick that we're doing that. The next company I went to, we were selling virtual ed tech. I hated it, but it paid more and the culture was great. And it led to development opportunities. So just to kind of summarize that point, it's less about what you sell. It's more about, are you in a good vehicle with the right environment around you to
Yep.
actually grow and
And
make
the
some good
mindset
money?
going into it. If you're going to go into the role saying, "Hey, I'm going to learn everything I possibly can about the role so I'm prepared for the next one," that's important. Not, "Hey, how
Yep,
long can I sit in this
100%.
role and become an AE?" They always fail. Not always. There's rare people out there, but most
Always.
of the
Yep.
time they do.
Well, the statistic shows, gosh, I don't have the exact stat, but it's basically like those who promote too soon to AE have a 60% failure
Yep,
rate versus those who have sat in the role for a year
absolutely.
plus. So I think the data proves it out. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Let's go into the backstory. What were you doing before tech sales? What was your career? What were you making? Ballpark. If you don't want to share that, that's okay. But just kind of give us a picture before tech sales. Where was Jeremy?
So, unlike a lot of people in tech sales, I did not jump in right out of college. In
Mm.
fact, God, I'm gonna hate saying this, but it's true. After college, I went into the restaurant industry, server, bartender, kind of worked my way through college and kept doing that stuff after college. I had always under the mindset, I don't want to sit behind a computer all day for 40 plus hours. It's going to be boring and it's going to suck. And then,
And here we
and
are.
now here we are. So, what I was doing before, I was a server bartender. I was at a company called Seasons 52. They're part of the Darden brand. They're really good food
Mhm.
if you like it. I'd say slightly fancy.
Great restaurant. Yeah.
And I was probably making 60K a year. Like you pretty much more than I made jumping into tech sales, but there was several reasons why I wanted to transition, which we'll get into a little bit more later. But honestly, the toll on my body was horrendous. Like my legs and my calves and my knees hurt every night. Like Epsom salt baths were like a thing. And I was looking for a change at some point because of some certain things that happened. And that led me to going into tech sales was literally the best transferable skills that I could think of in order to do. So that's what I did.
Wow. And how did you first hear about tech sales then? Because you were in a completely different scene, it sounds like.
Well, let's go down that road then. All right, so the full detail story, it's actually really
Yeah.
funny. So I was working at Seasons 52. Our GM had just gotten transferred to a new place, and we had a new GM come in. Vast difference. I'm talking night and day completely. One was the first GM was like he was a coach. He would teach you things. He would teach you how to do things, the right way to do things. Like he was a coach for that way. And I gravitated towards that like a bee to honey. Like I love that because it helped it actually started on a personal development journey for me. Come 6 months into the new GM, polar opposites, right out of college. He basically bought his way into the role, which different story for a different time. Um, and was just kind of one of those do things because I said to do them, not because I know actually how to do them. And so actually got in a fight,
Great
not
leader.
literal. We didn't throw blows, but like I was yelling at him, he was yelling at me, and I got fired. Shocker. Do not recommend that. So while I was out of work, I was like going through that, what we were talking about earlier, trying to think about like the transferable skills, what I was good at, what I like to do. And I came, tech sales, just sales in general was probably one of the things that would transfer the easiest and best to. And I could probably switch and get a new role pretty quickly after that. Now, granted, this
Mm.
is 2017. This is not the 2025 landscape, so things are vastly different than they are now. I do want to make that
Yep.
clear before we hop into some of the other questions. So what I started doing was
Yeah.
I was going through that and figuring out kind of what I like to do. I loved cars at the time, so I was like, okay, cool, let's go work at Carfax. I just bought a car from there. So submitted my resume, kind of went on YouTube and Google and stuff and kind of figure out like what an actual SDR does. What's that role look like? Am I willing to actually go forward and do it? It landed at yes, so got the interview there. Um, First initial interview, super quick. Actually, was in person because they were about 4 minutes away from where I was in Centerville. And during the interview, the lady's like, dude, I love you. You're amazing. You have no experience. And we only hire people with a year of experience. Like, okay, well, shoot, that's
Mm.
not going to happen. She was like, but I really like you, and I want you to go apply to these two companies. One was Memory Blue and one was Carasoft at the time. And she said, go work there for a year, come back to me, and I'll hire you in a heartbeat. It's like, shoot, all right, bet. And so that's what I did. I interviewed at both of those places. I didn't really like the vibes of Carasoft, so I ended up actually getting hired at Memory Blue. I was there for,
Mm.
I think I did the full stint the first time and got hired out by my client, got laid off there and ended up back at Memory Blue. But we'll get there in a little bit too. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So this is one thing I want to hit real fast, and we'll come back to the main storyline. You touched a couple minutes ago just on the fact that now you find yourself working in front of a computer
Mhm.
all day. And that's another thing that comes up talking to people who are like, yeah, it looks great, the pay is great, but I don't want to sit in front of a computer all day. What is working from home actually like as an
Sitting in
SDR?
front of your computer all day. Um,
You're not gonna make it more glamorous or
you
glorious or
know,
give any
so
credence
here's the
there.
deal. I'll elaborate in just a second, but I think a lot of people do SDRs disservice by glamifying the role and not telling you what you're
Mhm.
actually going to do once you get into it. And I think being fully transparent about it is a great filter because there's a bunch of people in the role that shouldn't be, and that's no fault of their own. It's just they were not told what they were going to expect or what they were going to actually be doing once they got into it. And then you end up with people that are like, "Oh, I hate it." And they leave tech sales forever. And it's like, dude, just stick it out a little bit longer. You're almost there. So yeah, no, being fully transparent, that's me to a T. So yeah, you're going to sit in front of the computer a bunch when you're an SDR. However, you need to mix up your day. And like for me, I go on three walks, three 15-minute walks a day. I spread them out to the morning, afternoon, and sometimes in the evening because you got to get up and move your body. Nothing's worse for you than sitting in a seat for 9, 10 hours a day and hammering the phones. So you got to mix it up. I personally like doing these kind of little chats. I talk to a bunch of people on LinkedIn all the time. Sure, some of them are sales combos, but some of them are just like getting to know people. And those things energize me and keep me able to sit in the seat and dial and dial and dial and do what I have to do.
I think that's a very honest, sober look at it where it's like, at the end of the day, this is work. It's not going to be fun. It shouldn't be fun per se. You can have fun with it, but you're coming to work and you're going to be cold calling and you're going to be busy. You have KPIs, you've got goals to hit. It's sales, it self manages performance. Because if you don't get to X goal, you got one more month, buddy. You got to figure this out, right? And there is some autonomy, some flexibility. There are some privileges of getting to be at home, right? Not in 2 hours a day of traffic where you could reinvest those 2 hours into the gym or, prayer or whatever, like friend time, whatever it is, right?
Whatever's your
So
thing.
I think that's a very sober perspective.
No, 100%. And
Yeah.
like it goes back to making sure you love what you do. Like I know it's a cliche thing at this point, but like if you really do like what you're doing, you can have fun while you're working. And it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. So back to you finally broke in and you went the cut your teeth route of let me go to Memory Blue. Really good way to get in, by the way, because me as a manager, I know Carahsoft and Memory Blue. If you've worked there, you know how to grind. And that's like a really good trait that I need you to have as a manager. But I'm going to put you in a more comfortable environment to grind with more rewards. So, all that being said, that's how you got in. Now, this is 2017. To your point, the market has changed a lot. So, what would you say is the biggest difference today? And what do people need to be aware of if they're actually going to be applying and having success landing interviews?
So I actually jumped the gun earlier. I wasn't supposed to say that part. I was supposed to go into the 2017 thing here. However,
Do that.
no, no,
That's
no,
fine. Take
no,
us
no,
wherever you
no.
want.
It's good though, because this actually leads me into something I talk about a lot, and it's absolutely true.
Mm.
In today's day and age, the biggest difference is relationships. So back in 2017, you could apply to a job. They were probably having 10 to 20, 30 people apply, and they're going to interview all of them. Now, with tech making it so easy to apply for roles, you're having, in theory, hundreds of people apply for these roles at a time, and it's almost impossible for a hiring team to even look at all those interview or the resumes. So the biggest advice I would have for anybody right now is relationships. And whether you're looking for a role, start cultivating those now. Start reaching out to people and getting yourself uncomfortable. Um, so how successful was it and how the job search go? Um, how did I end up here at Jiga? This is actually an incredibly fun story, and I think it'll highlight that point a little
Mm.
bit for you guys, people watching. Um, After that initial interviewing sector with um, Parmex and then leading to Memory Blue, every other role I've gotten after that has been a relationship-based intro or whatever. So at Memory Blue, I was working at working for several different companies in that mix, which is one of the reasons I don't like cybersecurity. Side note, and ended up getting hired out by my client. Was great there. I worked there for maybe a little bit over a year or so, and then COVID. Yay! So they ended up axing about 90% of their sales team. I was the second top producing SDR, but I was the most expensive. So I was one of the ones that got let go.
Mm.
I was off of work for probably 4 or 5 months and had the opportunity to go down to a beach for a week with one of my buddies, and it was awesome. While I was down there, I actually got a call from my old boss at Memory Blue. Said, "Hey, we're starting a new team. I know you're looking for work right now. Do you want to come help us build this?" And of course, at the time, I know what I'm getting myself into now. I've already worked there once, right? Absolutely. Let's go. Let's rock it. So I'm doing that. I'm still back into the cybersecurity thing a little bit, 6, 7 months, and I get approached or I get asked to join a Zoom meeting. And this is one of my fun stories. I hop on the Zoom meeting. It's my boss's boss's boss, like the head of the whole thing, and some random person I never even knew.
Can I say, is it Mark?
Mm.
Mark G?
She's no longer there, but it was
Okay.
I'm blanking at the moment. But
That's
so I'm
fine.
sitting
That's
here
fine.
like, oh shit, I've been through this before. When you've got your boss's boss as boss and your boss and someone random. So I hop into the meeting and I'm like, so I'm about to get fired. You want me just to go now, or what do you guys want to do about this? And they're like, no, 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 it's not that. They actually had
Oh gosh.
got to lead from the front, right? Like, hey, let's call it out like it is. So funny enough, not the conversation. They actually needed me to go help on a campaign that was struggling, which ended up
Hmm.
being the fictive account for them. And 3 weeks into it, me and the person who's managing that account from their end had such a great rapport. She was like, "Look, I want to hire you." So I ended up getting hired out from Memory Blue within 3 weeks of working with this lady, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And ended up being there for about a year and a half,
Wow.
which was actually kind of fun. So that was my intro to manufacturing sales. Long story short, I
Yeah.
ended up getting screwed over. My boss lied to me about a promotion that was never actually a thing, but she kept dangling the carrot in front of me like she was talking to our VP of sales. So I said, screw it. I left. I quit. That day I
Mm.
found out that that was a lie. Started my own thing. Partner decided to crap out, and then 3 days later, Jiga called and said, "Hey, we had an introduction to you from one of your old past contacts. They said you're really good. Would you be open to this role?" And here we are.
I too have gotten multiple jobs through relationships. In fact, I could attribute probably, let's see, first, second, only one out of the four teams I was at was like a cold outbound type situation. Like I cold applied. So I fully agree. And if the advice here is relationships matter, they do matter. And what you need to do, listener, because you don't have the relationships Jeremy and I do, you haven't been in this industry for years, just start reaching out to people. Be bold. That is the one thing that I didn't realize as a college grad is like everyone seems so scary because it's corporate America and can I talk to people and are they going to hate me for reaching out? Now I get it because I'm on the other side. It's like, no, we want you to reach out because we want to see that hunger, that ambition. And we, as humans, we naturally want to help people. So you reach out to me, yo, Jack, I've been, trying to break in and I'm just reaching out to people, trying to make connections and stuff. I'm gonna be like, hey, that's cool. Like, I actually have someone you can talk to. But you never get the answer if you don't
Mhm.
ask, right? And to your point, Jeremy, as well, SaaS is a small world. Tech sales is a small world and you start making good impressions, you're going to get pulled places left and
Mhm.
right where people are going to ask for you to come over because they know you, they know your character. So that is, yeah, that is sage advice right there coming from Jeremy.
Appreciate it.
100%. So as we wrap up here, 8 years in, 2.5 years at your current gig at Jiga, was it worth it? Is tech sales worth it? Are you happy you did this? Pros, cons, anything you want to say about that?
Yep. Yes, absolutely. 100% worth it. 1,000% worth it. Like, even to take that up a notch, like, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'd actually do it earlier if I got a chance to go and do it again. But yeah, hindsight, right? Yeah, definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Pros, again, not going to sugarcoat it. You learn a ton. You learn a ton about psychology, about people in general, about just the sales profession just in general. You make great money. Depending on the size of team you start with, I do not suggest starting at a startup if you're just getting into it, but you can
Mhm.
absolutely see the impact that you're personally making on the company month in and month out, and that's motivating for me. Um, Again, not to beat a dead horse, but the people you meet could potentially be some of your best friends moving forward in life. You really have no idea.
Mhm.
Like some of my best friends right now, I've never met in person. I've met them only through LinkedIn, through networking, and that's how the state of the world is now. Cons,
Mhm.
it's stressful. Dude, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's stressful. You're going to deal with a lot of internal and external pressure, most of which you're probably going to put on yourself. You're going to make assumptions about
Mhm.
what people are thinking or saying or doing that are not actually true. And it happens. That's called being human. Um, and then obviously, depending on the company you work for, the external pressure could or could not be there, but you could have a perceived pressure there, again, from your own making. So, but again, I would not change this for the world. I would not leave tech sales, even if I had $1 billion in the bank. I'd probably just make a tech sales company. So yes, absolutely, I would 100% do this again.
Wow. And this is after layoffs. This is after being lied to. This is after, business partners going crappy and stuff like that. Like, this is after a lot of turmoil, and you're still able to sit here and soberly say, hey, I would do it again. And
Mhm.
it's hard, but I would do it again.
Heartbeat.
That is a sober look at what tech sales is. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're now going, I don't know if I want to go through all that, good. Save yourself the time. You were not made for tech sales anyway. That's okay. Doesn't mean you're not a good person. It just means you have a different calling over your life. But if that kind of excites you, what Jeremy's talking about, which is the grind, the growth, the rewards on the other side, and you're not deterred from what he just said, yeah, you should go for it.
100%.
Any final encouragement from you? Anything you want to say to the people listening? By the way, these are people that have been trying to get jobs, a lot of rejection, or they're curious about tech sales and they're not sure if they want to do it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely have some final words of encouragement. The biggest one is going to be network. Start networking now when you don't need it, because when you do, it's too late. Um, yeah, I actually love this Zig Ziglar quote, but I think it's also overplayed. You will always get what you want in life by helping people get what they want most first. And that's my approach at sales. That's literally my whole approach at sales. If I feel like I can honestly, legitimately help you, I'm going to call you. And if you tell me to kick rocks, that's okay. You're not ready for it. So that would be my thing. Find companies that want you, the value you provide, the person you are, not going just because the OTE is looking all glamorous. We all know, we've seen RepView. A lot of those are not all honest. So if you find a company to go look for and values you as the person, you're always going to win no matter what. So that would be my biggest advice outside of what we've already talked about.
Nothing to add there. Jeremy, thank you. This was a very encouraging but honest conversation. Appreciate you sharing your time with us. And yeah, keep crushing it. You're
Thanks
doing
for having
great.
me, Jack. Appreciate it. I always love doing these things. They're super fun. And you get to meet new people. Like you and I had never spoke before this call. So testament to relationships and putting yourself out there, because you never know what's going to happen.
Never know. Amen, brother. Great to connect.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye, bud.